Call the monthly Board of Education meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Motion to adopt the agenda.
I make that motion.
Mr. Rao makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deering, second. All in favor, show of hands. 5-0. Citizens statements, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had no one request participation as per Board Policy BDDH.
Written communications.
We had no written communications either.
Military update.
Good evening. On behalf of Colonel Jeffrey Payne, our outgoing garrison commander, I want to pass along his thanks to all the teachers, staff, administrators, parents, and students of the Waynesville School District for all your hard work and dedication. You make a difference each and every day, and you have made an impact on this community. Just a few fun things to talk about. We do have free bowling for kids. They can bowl 2 free games every day at Doherty Bowling Center on Fort Leonard Wood throughout August 31st. So when it gets too hot, maybe like today, to head into where it's cool in the Doherty Bowling Center. Our community library on Fort Leonard Wood also has a summer reading program that is a phenomenal program so that you can log into our website and get the information there, log your summer reading. And of course, all the community is invited to the Fort Leonard Wood Independence Day celebration that will be held on the 4th of July at Gammon Field starting at 1600. Lastly, tomorrow is the U.S. Army's 247th birthday. So I just want to send best wishes to our all-volunteer force, those who are serving, those who have served, and those who support, and a big thank you for all you do. Pending any of your questions, that's all I have.
Any comments or questions? Thank you. District announcements, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President, and happy birthday to the Army.
Thank you. They look pretty good, don't they?
Yes,
247.
yes, yeah. First of all, I want to say it's been a pleasure to work through this process to renovate the Parker Educational Center. This room will make our board meetings accessible to many more folks now. And it's also, as we all remember, it is the primary location for 2 new early childhood classes. It will be full day. There'll be 40 students that we can accommodate here in the fall, so we're very excited about that. More than 2,000 students are enrolled in summer school this year, and the last day will be Wednesday, June 29th. Please note that summer school will not be in session, and all offices will be closed on Monday, June 20th, in observance of Juneteenth. Enrollment is open online for new families who have moved into the district. For more information, families may go to the main website and click on New Student Info or call Student Services at 573-842-2092. The first day of school, I know the children who are watching, and I'm sure there are many right now watching a board meeting, but they'll shudder at this, but the first day of school in the upcoming year, the 22-23 school year, will be Monday, August 22nd of 22. So we're already talking about that, and we'll be right in it. And to close out, I just wanted to thank the board, our community, and most importantly, our students for a great past 8 years, 9 years actually in the district, being able to be superintendent and work with so many outstanding people. It's been a real pleasure. It's great to be able to open up and have our inaugural meeting in this boardroom tonight. And I'm also wanting to congratulate Mrs. Bales. She'll do a fantastic job, and the district's in great hands.
All right. Any comments or questions? Thank you, Dr. Henry. A motion to approve consent agenda items A through I.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
I'll second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Student recognitions, baseball academic all-state, Mr. Ace.
That's a lot longer walk than it usually was. All right, we have 3 individuals. Unfortunately, none of those 3 individuals are able to be here tonight. that we would like to recommend for academic all-state baseball. Academic all-state baseball is determined by the Missouri Baseball Coaches Association, and it is based off of GPA and ACT and/or SAT score, along with being able to participate in a number of varsity level competitions. The 3 individuals that have received the All-State Award, and in addition to that, the team is also recognized for All-State. They had a GPA that just fell into the All-State recommendation, so they were able to achieve that as well. But the 3 individuals are Blake Althusius, Hunter Althusius, and then Aiden McFarland.
All-star track and field, Mr. Race.
Okay, Coach Rawlings is going to come up here and help me because we have a number of certificates to hand out. First, we're going to recognize our individuals that were all-state, all-track for track this season. We have a number of those individuals, and Coach, you want to say a word about those individuals real quick?
Yeah, we were able to get to state this year in multiple events. You want me to read them out? Okay. We took 6th place and set a school record. Multiple times we set that school record. We finally can put the numbers up to stay for a while. In the 4x8, the team on the 4x8 was Alejandro Malave, Antoine Fowler, Fahim Muhajid, and Luther Sapanzik. You guys come on up. Luther's not with us tonight. As he and a few of our other athletes we're going to recognize are at the SGA convention. And then Jason Blake took 6th place in the 110 hurdles, and Jonathan Hedrick took 8th place in the triple jump.
Missouri Track and Field Coaches Association Academic All-State, Mr. Race.
Let's find out where we're at. Okay, we have a number of individuals. I just want to say that more than anything, this is something I'm extremely proud of when our kids are performing in the classroom. We say first, academics first, and you know our kids are truly representing that. We'll go over my board report later this afternoon, but just their focus, their determination in the classroom. In addition to that, just the rigor that we have in our school district and our kids still performing is truly amazing, and we know that's going to prepare them when they go on to the next level. So we have actually 18 individuals that we are going to be recognizing tonight from our track team. The criteria for all-state track was participating in a state level tournament, so that is districts, sectionals, and or the state tournament. In addition to having a 3.6 GPA or a 25 ACT or 1100 SAT score.
Okay, but before we call them up here, I told Mr. Ace that if I got to the microphone, I had something else I wanted to say too, which kind of sent him into a panic, but that's okay. We, this past year, hosted the sectional track meet here at Waynesville, and it was on a Saturday. That was probably as bad a weather day as you could possibly have to have a track meet. And while I can do this publicly, I would like to thank Mrs. Bales and Dr. Witt and Mr. Ace for everything that they helped me with and allowed me to do to turn around on Monday and host 36 schools here for a sectional track meet, because without their help, it would not have happened on Monday nearly as easy as it did with the support that the track program was given. So I just want to publicly say thank you to those three and everybody else that helped out. But I know that Saturday morning got a little rough for us trying to figure things out, and the cooperation we got from the whole district was awesome. The academic all-state track athletes, when I call your name, if you all would come up. Sitlali Arzabella, Deshayla Bean, Cassidy Bowling, Maddie Dye, Brielle Garcia, Kasari Garcia, Abigail Hillman, Lily Peace, Anna Peterson, Olivia Siebert, Amelia Vega, Callie Zarcone, Jonathan Hedrick, Brandon Howard, Alejandro Malave, Fahim Muhajid, Luther Sapanzik, and Averill Williams.
Congratulations, everybody. House Resolution, Representative Bill Hardwick.
Well, good evening. I think you all know at the end of this month, our superintendent, Dr. Brian Henry, is retiring and moving on. So I thought I'd take a moment to recognize him. Brian, you've been an amazing partner. I liked you ever since I got to know you, actually. And the more I talked to you, the more I worked with you, the more I liked you. Man, I just like you so much, Brian. And
Not many say that.
no, I do. I think you're fantastic. And I don't think a lot of people in the community realize, not everybody realizes all you've done for our community. Waynesville is such a huge enterprise. It's such a complex thing, and it's so important to our national security mission, for the Army mission. It's important for our community, for our economy. And it's important for all those kids and their futures and their opportunities that they have. And what you've done to give them that is pretty amazing. It's been pretty awesome. And I also just want to say personally, thank you for everything you've done to keep our kids safe. And all of our kids and my kids that go to the Waynesville School District, your efforts. So I commend you for that, and I really do appreciate that. And wherever you go, whatever you do, I wish you the best and Godspeed. We'll be thinking about you. And hopefully you come back from time to time and visit us here in Waynesville. And because this is your home, right? And always a home for you. And I just want to say thank you very much. And with that, we're able to get together this official House of Representatives resolution. Do you have one of these?
No,
You don't have one of these, really?
no, I don't have a House resolution.
Well, I feel pretty, that's awesome that I'm giving you your first House resolution. And so I'd like to give it to you as your part. And if you want to come in front of this awesome Tigers backdrop, we'll take a photograph.
Smile, Paul.
cleared up.
An old Baptist church service or something.
Thank you, Representative Hardwick. Transportation Employee of the Month, Mr. Wilking, Mr. Tronstead.
Good evening. I'm here on behalf of Transportation Department to present our June Employee of the Month. Not only is it a privilege and blessing to work for the Waynesville School, but especially the Transportation Department. We get to go home at the end of the day knowing we have given the peace of mind to thousands of family members, knowing a team of transportation professionals that truly care about their students have done everything to ensure that they get to and from school safely. This is only possible when you have a team of individuals who choose every day to do what many can't or choose not to do. Lonnie Prather is one of those individuals. Could you come up here again? Lonnie has been chosen as our June Employee of the Month. His dedication to the job, positive attitude, and consistent dependability make him an asset to the Transportation Department. He is one of our behind-the-scenes all-stars. I wouldn't hesitate to put my children on his bus and their safety in his hands. Keep being amazing and setting an example for others. Thank you, Lonnie, for all you do.
Thank you. Community recognition, Mrs. Bells.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is again my honor to recognize Mike Freeman with the Ed Morris St. Robert automobile dealership. They used to be Seller Sexton, and they have sponsored our Project Teach Award for many, many years. And so, again, it is our privilege, come on up here, Mike, to recognize them. But in addition, I would just like to publicly recognize Mike Freeman as an individual. He is constantly supportive of our district, gives positive praise and encouragement to countless individuals, and it's community supporters like Mike that make this a great place to work. So thank you, Mike, very much.
Thank you, Mike. We'll move to discussion items. Construction project update, Dr. Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right, getting started here, our storage in the IT building. As you can see here, they've gotten metal. There's a few pictures here, but the metal is up on the outside of the building. As you go through, you can kind of see underneath there, they have the first floor ready to be poured with concrete. Hopefully, we're looking for that here this week, since we're looking for no rain finally. So hopefully they'll get that poured this week. Looking at transportation, they were able to get the concrete slab poured, and they're ready to start setting I-beams and metaling and getting the framing like that. So the next couple of weeks, that'll really start to come together very quickly. On this kind of a picture of the inside, this is kind of where we've got a little bit of work. They've done a great job with trying to get some HVAC in, some wiring. You can't necessarily tell them. They've been pulling back and forth and just kind of working around, getting through school where transportation could still get in there with their buses. Looking at their softball field, this has actually changed already from today. They do have the first layer of rock down. They're looking to have all the rock completed this week and then be able to start putting the turf on next week. That middle picture is one of the pictures of the batting cages that will have additional seating area, and then part of the new batting cages that will be like on both sides, the home and visitor side. And then just yesterday and finishing up today is that they got the lines all put down the track. Today they came in and kind of put all the exchange zones, the tick marks and things like that. So that was completely finished up today as well. So it'll be ready to go for next season. A little shorter this month than as past, as we got a lot of projects done and kind of getting started. So as we look into the next couple of months, you'll see a lot more changes and updates. But I'll take any questions that you may have now.
Any comments or questions? Thank you, Dr. Cobb. Spring Sports Program, Mr. Ace.
Okay, this is the spring sports, report for the season. We'll go over academics, our competitive success, discuss Tiger Performance training and what we have upcoming this summer and heading into fall. First things first, academics. You can see just here the report where we have team GPAs. We have had a 3.38 overall team GPA for all of our varsity student athletes. And then all of our student athletes for the spring, we had an average of 3.17. We are doing really well. I mean, we saw that here earlier when we were recognizing our kids. They're taking academics serious, and we're continuing to progress as we move forward. In addition to the honors that you had as far as All-State, we did have 57 student athletes that received a 3.75 GPA or higher, which is all conference. In addition to that, we had 36 additional athletes that were named to honorable mention all conference, which is a 3.5 to 3.74. Here you can see the breakdown per team. And then the individuals that we recognize tonight are our academic all-state spring sports teams. We announced those earlier tonight, which will head into competitive success. As far as all conference, all district, and all state, you can see the numbers here. We had 28 student athletes that were named to all conference. In addition, we had 10 student athletes that were named to all district. And then we had 6 all-state student athletes that we recognized this afternoon as well. In addition to our all-state, all-district, and all-conference, our track team did take second at districts boys level, extremely competitive, and then we were in top 3 at sectionals. Here's our 4x8 100-meter relay team, took 6th at state. Johnny Hendrick, who took 8th place in the triple jump as a sophomore. And then Jason Blake, who will be back again next year, who took 6th place in the 110-meter hurdles. In addition to that, we did have one student athlete, Alejandro Malave, who is also here and recognized tonight, who will be attending Central Missouri to compete in cross country and track and field. Tiger Performance training, this is something we had a lot of questions, have had a lot of questions about, so we did create kind of our why behind Tiger Performance training. In addition to that, we created frequently asked questions and just the answers to those questions. Those 5 questions are, normal questions that we'll receive, and obviously we're happy to talk to any parents about. A lot of our incoming parents have questions as far as, is the 70% expectation mandatory? What would happen if my kid is attending a camp or my kid has conflicts with a different sport? Obviously, the main goal is to make sure kids are active and they're doing something during the summer. The benefits for Tiger Performance Training are, they're numerous mentally, physically, confidence-wise, self-esteem. There's a number of things, but we did create this. This is on our website. Biggest thing is if there is conflicts or, there are things that you're not able to attend, you have a student that might be going away to visit a family member on the other side of the country. Those are things that we just ask parents to be, proactive in communicating with us. We're understanding, we're flexible. We understand that our families come from everywhere, and we're very accommodating to that. Summer info, real quick, we kind of are already on our way this summer. We have had over 250 elementary students that have come to our elementary camps. Actually, volleyball just started today. I believe there's 52 girls, 50 girls and 2 boys that were at elementary camp today. Our remaining camps are tennis, which will be June 27th through 30th, and then softball will go July 12th, 19th, and 26th, so it's 1 day a week. They'll be doing little clinics there. Registration is online, so if you go to the athletic webpage on the district, you can register for those camps online. Fall sports, summer schedule is just upcoming. A lot of questions that parents will be having. We're already starting to field those questions. Does my student athlete need a physical within the year? Yes, here at Waynesville, we do require a physical every year, and that physical has to be dated February 1, 2022. And our first practices will actually start August 8th. We are offering free physicals August 2nd through 4th at Bercy, and then we'll do them by appointment on the 8th and 9th here at our clinic. Remaining summer camps, again, like I said, are tennis, June 28th through July 1st, and then soccer, July 28th through 30th. And that is it, if you have any questions.
Any comments or questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Race. End of year performance data, Dr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, I am going to provide an update on our end-of-year performance data. I'll be presenting the district writing prompt, standards proficiency, STAR early literacy, STAR reading, and STAR math results. For our end-of-year writing prompt, we ended the year at 73.6% proficient. And on the area of question, and question really is just, can students answer the question of the prompt? This was slightly lower than where we ended last year, but still fairly level performance. If we look at the year, we started the year in the area of question at 50% and ended at 73.6, so quite a bit of growth throughout the year. Text evidence, this portion of the writing prompt measures if students can support their answer using evidence from the text. And we ended the year at 68.7%, which again was down slightly from where we were last year. And if we look throughout the year, our first prompt of the year did not have a text evidence piece. And so we just had our middle of year to end of year and grew from 62.8 to 68.7. The third area on the writing prompt is conventions. And so this looks at the conventions of writing. And we ended the year at 73% proficient, which if we look from the beginning of the year to end of year, we grew from 51.4% to 73%. The next area is looking at standards proficiency. For all of our subjects, we've identified our priority standards, and this is really what our instruction is based around, and those standards come from the Missouri Learning Standards. In elementary, for pre-K through 6 actually, in ELA, we ended the year at 77.4% proficient, which was up slightly from last year. In the area of math, we grew from 78.8% last year to 82.4% this year. We're in our 4th year of our Go Math series, and we're continuing to see standards proficiency grow as we see that students move through multiple years in that series. At the middle school level, overall, they ended the year at 67% proficient, which is down slightly from where they ended overall last year. And at the high school level, ended the year at 76% proficient across all the core subject areas, which was up from 72% last year. The next area I'm going to discuss will be our STAR results. In the STAR Early Literacy, that is given to our kindergarten students, and you can see from the beginning of the year, 44% of students met the benchmark, and at the end of year, 68% met the benchmark, which was 24% growth in that. One thing about the STAR, when we talk about meeting the benchmark, the STAR assessment norming considers being at the 40th percentile or higher as meeting the benchmark. However, we actually use the 50th percentile when we report out because that has better correlation with student performance on other standardized tests. In the area of STAR reading, overall, we were at 47% of students meeting the benchmark. And you can see that 3rd grade, 4th grade had some growth from last year. Our other grade levels remained fairly flat or dipped slightly. This next set of slides looks at STAR reading for each of our individual buildings, and it looks at it by grade level. 1st grade, district-wide, we grew from 28% to 54% meeting the benchmark from beginning to end of year, so 26% growth. For 2nd grade, we went from 36% to 52% of students meeting the benchmark, which was 16% growth. 3rd grade grew from 45 to 60% meeting the benchmark for 15% growth. 4th grade grew from 54 to 64%, which was 10% growth from beginning to end of year. 5th grade grew from 44% to 53% for 9% growth. At the secondary level, we did see dips at 6th and 7th grade. 8th grade stayed flat at 40%, and then slight growth at 9th and 10th grade. And they ended at 34 and 36% respectively. Next is STAR Math. If we look at STAR Math, we grew from 61 to 62% meeting the benchmark as compared to last school year. Overall, in 1st grade, we started the year at 68% meeting the benchmark and ended at 68, so math held fairly flat throughout the year. In 2nd grade, growth from 47 to 63%, which was a 16% growth. 3rd grade grew from 56 to 74% for 18% growth in 3rd grade. 4th grade grew from 64 to 70% for 6% growth. And in 5th grade, 60 to 67% for 7% growth. And if we look at our secondary, in 6th grade grew from 45 to 50% meeting the benchmark. 7th grade held steady at 45%, and at 8th grade grew from 43 to 45%. On STAR Math, 8th grade is the highest grade level that we give that assessment to. Are there any questions?
Comments or questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Atkins. Alternative at-risk update, Ms. Mitchell.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Do we have my slides? Yay. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to give you a quick update on our programs. Down. Thank you. All right, so when it says current enrollment, that's what we ended with. So we ended the school year with 29 students. For next year, we're looking at starting with 32 in the alternative program. Our current enrollment that we ended with in the alternative suspension program was 10 students, one of those being a short-term student. The current enrollment ending the year for ASP was 3 that we had on homebound, and then projected to start next year would be 14 students. And this year we had 7 graduates in June. For transitions, we transitioned 4 kiddos back to the middle school, 6 back to the high school, and 2 to the Missouri Options program. Partnerships this year, we had 1 student participate in middle school wrestling. He did a really great job for our Coach Perez. And then we went over to Williams and helped out with Snack in a Pack. I had some kids go over there and help pack bags. Celebrations for this year, again, we had 7 students graduate, which was very exciting. 10 kiddos transitioned back to the regular setting, and then 2 students to the Missouri Options program. And then altogether, we had 84 credits earned for our students. 19 of those courses were recovery, and 149 of those courses were original. Upcoming, some exciting things coming our way. We've got a new referral form, updated intake and transition process, which is going to be a little smoother for everyone. We're going to have monthly Zoom meetings with our building principals just to keep them in the loop on our kids, and then quarterly meetings for our students and the counselors. We're planning on having goal binders for every one of our students, really to kind of get them that college and career readiness plan kind of more into action, having resumes, mock interviews for them, just getting them ready for after high school. And then also some more community involvement. We're in touch with the senior center and also some PI partners to maybe have some guest speakers come over and talk to our kids. And then finally, a little more info on our ASP program. Mrs. Angela Witt is our teacher in there, and then our current enrollment, with those 13 students, 3 of them will have IEPs. If we have a student come over that has an IEP, they meet with Chris Kramer, who is on the alternative side, but he gives them their services to make sure we're still meeting their minutes. Students have 3 options for classes when they come to the suspension program. Depending on the time of year, they either remain on Canvas, they go to Ed Options Academy, or they have classes on Edmentum, and sometimes it can be a combination. And then our ASP students, next year, we're going to allow them to drive on a case-by-case basis. Any questions?
Questions? Thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you.
Teacher evaluation standards and indicators, Ms. Bells.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is my pleasure to present to the board as a first reading the changes in the teacher evaluation standards and indicators for the 2022-2023 school year. These changes were done with teacher representatives from all buildings across the district to receive input, and then also we worked with building level steering committees to bring this to you this evening for consideration.
Thank you. Student handbooks, adult and alternative ed, first reading, Mrs. Long.
Good evening. Tonight I'd like to present to the board for first reading the student handbook for adult and alternative education. On the adult handbook you have seen and approved previously, but there were numerous changes from the State Board of Nursing that affect our practical nursing department, so that's a revision from what you approved prior. And we will request approval of those handbooks at the July board meeting.
Thank you. Board policy JGA update, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. As discussed last month in study session, we revisited our corporal punishment policy, and the board expressed the desire to consider the policy that does away with or forbids corporal punishment. So this is the policy language for that. and that's submitted for first reading. Be happy to answer any questions that you have in the interim, and it'll be up for second reading in July.
Comments or questions? Will you be here in July to answer those questions?
I'll refer those questions on to Mrs. Bales.
Okay. Textbook proposals, Dr. Atkins, and action
Thank you,
items.
Mr. President. Textbook proposals for high school earth and space science, career embedded medicine and healthcare, advanced placement biology, middle and high school foreign language, as well as high school health are presented for approval. Administration requests approval of the textbook proposals as presented.
Have any comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
I would motion.
Mr. Rao makes a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Mr. Deering, second. All in favor, show of hands. 5-0, motion carries. Waynesville Career Center course description update and textbook proposal, Dr. Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Waynesville Career Center has requested a course description update to the course description for their health science class. WCC proposes the addition of phlebotomy to the health science course. This will provide the opportunity to earn an additional stackable credential that students can use to enter the workforce upon the completion of the course and successful completion of the exam. This does not replace the CNA exam, it's just an additional credential that they can come out with. And administration requests approval of the course description update and textbook proposal as presented.
Any comments or questions? Do I have a motion? Mr. Deering makes a motion. Mr. Pondrum, second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Food service price setting, Dr. Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve the breakfast and lunch prices as listed for the FY23 school year.
Any comments or questions? I have a motion. Arn makes a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Mr. Rouse, second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Proposed transportation handbook, second reading, Dr. Cobb.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve the transportation handbook for the 22-23 school year as presented.
Any comments or questions? I have a motion. Mr. Pondrum makes a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Mr. Rouse, second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. MSBA policy updates, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a batch of policies for last month that are coming back for approval. I received no questions. They involve lactation support, professional short-term leaves, support staff leave, seclusion and restraint. And then there's 2 forms in there for student transportation services and seclusion and restraint. So having heard no questions, I offer those for approval.
All right, do I have a motion? Motion. Mr. Arn makes a motion. Mr. Deering, second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. The 2022-23 board meeting schedule, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do have the meeting scheduled for the upcoming year ready for your consideration. It's very similar to this year. You will notice there are a couple of months, one in September that deals with the annual NAFIS trip, and then there's some holidays worked in as well, but typically we're on our regular rotation.
Any comments or questions? I have a motion. Mr. Ponder makes a motion. I have a second. Deering, second. All in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. Budget revision, Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this will be for the FY22 budget that we're currently wrapping up right now. Jumping in here, I got just a few little slides to go through, and then we'll have a motion to enact the provision after this. So just kind of a reminder of the timeline here. So June 30th is the close of our fiscal year. August 15th, the ASBR deadline for the prior year. And then our auditors come in around August timeframe, and then the audit is due in December. And then come mid-year board retreat in January. Then we kind of go through and recap the audit and kind of close everything out. So we're still in the middle of all that, the whole process as we speak. So just a quick 10,000-foot overview on revenue update. So state revenues, they were stronger than we initially projected due to the increase in Prop C and classroom trust fund revenues. We received about $1.9 million in ESSER 3 funding and stimulus money. And then another, on a positive note, we regained B2 eligibility for FY22. Expense update, salary and benefit expenditures have increased approximately $2 million from FY '21 to '22. Purchase services have increased by approximately $1.3 million from FY '21 to '22. Operational expenditures increased from FY '21 to '22. However, due to lower capital expenditures in FY '22, overall expenditures decreased. So overall expenditures went down a little bit, but our operational expenditures have went up a little bit. So, and then that's it for that. So just the administration then recommends a motion to enact revenue and expenditures to actual year account totals and necessary transfers to close the current fiscal year.
Any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a
Alder
motion.
makes a motion, have a second?
Second.
Rouse second, all in favor, show of hands. And fiscal year '23 budget proposal, Mr. Harrison.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I'm jumping into FY '23 here, so this has been a very challenging year from a budgeting standpoint. There's a lot of moving parts this year, more so than I've ever seen myself. So, but we're hanging in there and doing the best we can. So, jumping in here. So, just a reminder of our budget development goals as we go through the process of building the budget each year. Support the district's vision and mission, maintain competitive salary schedules, maintain a quality employee benefit package, plan for future with consideration of student needs and student population, and address current facility needs. Also with the side note, during these kind of trying times here of things to focus on is build reserve balance and take care of our employees. Kind of a step sheet here of how the budgeting process goes. So we start salary and benefit projections typically in like the December timeframe. Then we go through and work with the directors and the buildings to develop their budgets. And then Dr. Cobb, along with the school board and the administration, kind of work on our capital projects list for the upcoming year. Then we work on finalizing the budget and putting it together, which is why I'm here tonight. And then we seek approval for that preliminary budget going into the new fiscal year. This is the projected budget summary for FY '23. So if you notice there, our teachers and incidental funds, those are funds 1 and 2. Those get rolled up into what we call operations, and so those are day-to-day expenses, keeping the lights on type of things. So we started the year with about $21.9 million. That's what we're projected to start with. And then, we're projected to end with the same amount of money, which is not typical. The reason why that is because this year, whenever you take your revenues versus your expenditures from an operational standpoint, we were about 1.1 million short, so we were going to have to pull B2 funds over to balance that. And so by pulling that $1.1 million, that exactly balances out to where we start and end with the same amount. So, and then the capital outlay. So in our Fund 4, we started with about $23.6 million. We're looking to revenue in, and this is very conservative because most of our Fund 4 revenues are B2 money, and with the recent approval of the new B2 eligibility that we have, I feel like that's a pretty conservative amount there. I feel like we'll probably get a few $1 million more than that likely by the end of the year. So, but we are looking to spend around $15.7 million from a capital standpoint on the current capital projects we have going on to end the year with around $15.7 million in capital funding. Just some highlights from a revenue standpoint for FY '23. Our local tax revenues are projected to increase this year, and that's mainly due to an increase in the assessed valuation. I'm sure you've all seen how the real estate market has exploded around here, and appraised values of things are just much higher. So with that comes more tax revenue that comes in. So we are expecting some additional revenue from a local tax revenue standpoint. State transportation revenues are projected to increase. They have some additional funds they're going to inject one time into the formula, so that'll just be a thing for this year. Where I think we're typically funded around the 40% mark from a transportation standpoint, and so they're going to inject some more funds into that one time, and I expect that to go back to that 40% mark after this year. And then Prop C, which is it's a local tax that revenues in locally, but it's a statewide sales tax. And there was an increase in revenue from that as well because there's been an uptick in consumer spending across the state of Missouri. Food services revenues are projected to significantly decrease in FY '23, and the reason for that is because they're starting to pull out all these provisions that they had for all these free lunches for everyone, and everything's starting to get back to normal. And our free and reduced lunch percentages right now are really low due to a lack of parents filling out the forms. And so just a little plug here to if there's any parents out there listening, we know we could really use you to go out there and filling out those forms. It's going to be very important going into next year because we need to get that percentage back to where it typically is in the 40 to 50% mark. So if you could, please fill out those forms for us. That would be fantastic. And then federal revenues, we always conservatively budget those just because you guys know the volatile nature of the Impact Aid B2 money. So, but we are conservatively budgeting those to reflect student enrollment trends, changing funding priorities, and just the volatile nature of that revenue source. Quick breakdown of revenues. State is going to be about 41.5%, federal around 31.35%. Local property tax around 13%, Prop C is approximately 8%, and then local and other is around 5.42%. So this is different from this. We're very unique in this situation here because typically for a normal district, you would see state revenues be around 40 to 45%, and you would see the property tax be around 40 to 45%, and then you would see the federal be around 10 to 20%. In a normal district, but because of the lack of taxation on the federal grounds that we have here, our property tax is much lower, and the impact aid, federal piece there is represented by the impact aid money that comes in as a result of that. Overall revenues from a federal standpoint, fairly flat coming into FY '23, but like I said, we always conservatively budget this. And with us regaining B2 eligibility, I wouldn't be surprised if that is a little higher by the end of the year. We'll just have to kind of wait and see what B2 funds come in throughout the year. State revenues are fairly flat as well. The state formula is, the numbers there are kind of flat, and they enacted the pandemic law that allows us to use FY 20 ADA numbers. And so last year we used FY 20 ADA numbers as well. So that kind of makes sense why that number would be fairly flat from a state basic impact formula standpoint. County revenues, this is kind of a smaller chunk of money that we get for things like federal forest and things of that nature, and so it's always right around that $640,000 mark. And then local revenues, this is our local taxes and our Prop C. Prop C has gained significantly this year, and I don't know if you've tried to go buy a boat or an RV lately or a UTV, but you can't really find them anymore. Everybody's buying them up, and so whenever they buy those things and things across the state, that money gets put in one big bucket and they distribute it evenly across the state of Missouri. So that numbers went up significantly for the projected amount for FY '23. And then our local taxes, as I mentioned earlier, are projected to go up a little as well going into this year. And then just kind of, a little slide on our tax levy here. Waynesville R6 School District operates with a tax rate of $2.95. And just a quick side note that for this year, we've had to run at $2.88 because last year there was a huge increase in assessed valuation as well. And then the Hancock Amendment caps you at how much you can bring in revenue-wise. So we were forced to roll down our revenue to $2.88 for this fiscal year because of that. And just as another side note to that, that's going to have impacts for our B2 eligibility in FY '25 because they're always looking back 3 years prior. So that 95% mark that we're always struggling to meet come FY '25, I'm going to have to use that 288 number instead of the 295, and it's just going to make it that much more difficult to maintain that eligibility. And then, just that little note down there at the bottom, out of all Missouri school districts, approximately 82% have a higher tax rate than the Waynesville School District. So great value for your dollar here in Waynesville. And then other revenues, these are things like tuition payments and miscellaneous things that come in. We're expected to bring in about $450,000 for the upcoming year. Going into expenditures, the budget includes fifth-year expenditures associated with the Prop 1 that was passed back in 2017. And we always, we promised the taxpayers back then that we would put that money in safety and technology. And so we stick to that every year. So for FY23, approximately $233,000 is going to go into safety, and then approximately $366,000 is going into technology. And then the FY23 budget includes increases to the district salary and benefit packages, and those are the list of all the things that we did for the upcoming school year. And then on capital projects, we're budgeting around $15.8 million for our capital projects coming up this year. Breakdown of our operating expenditures, we always hang right around that 80% number from a salary and benefit standpoint. So out of all the operating money that we spend, around 80% of it goes into salary and benefits. And then purchase services is around 13%, and then supply utilities is around 9%. Employee salary benefits expenditures, this is one thing to kind of point out. When I mentioned that we were going to be pulling $1.1 million over from B2 funds, you can kind of see how we run fairly flat there from, FY19 through FY21. But since FY21, our salary and benefits expenditures have increased by approximately $4 million. So pretty significant increase in the last couple years. Incidental expenditures, this is our purchase services, things like our OPA contract, our K-12 ITC contract. We've kind of trended over the years, as many districts across the state of Missouri have. This is what everybody's doing, is kind of, trending towards, going towards, companies like that to partner with, to help with, things like food services and technology and HVAC and things of that nature. So that this expense has greatly increased over the years as well. Transportation expenditures, fairly high this year, but that's mainly due to the building project that's going on up there. That money flows through this code here, so that's why that number is fairly elevated this year. Food service expenditures, as I mentioned earlier, our expenditures projected up for FY23 are going to be real similar to FY22, but it's just the revenues that we're bringing in to counter that is the issue there. So from an expenditure standpoint, food services look to be about the same as they were in FY22. Capital project expenditure is about $15.8 million. We have the storage IT building going on, the transportation building, FEMA shelter, then a lot of softball field, turf, a lot of miscellaneous projects going on. All in all, around $15.8 projected million spent on that. This is our lease purchase agreements. The only one that we're still paying on is the one, our Series 2021, which funded part of the Freedom Elementary project several years ago. And so that is actually a typo on that first bar. That should be a little bit higher in FY23, and then it's going down to 1.4 in FY24. So the number is correct, but the bar representing the number is not correct for whatever reason. But that is expected to be fully paid off in FY29. So all in all, when you put it all in Hopper, our operations and our capital, we're projected to spend right around $93 million for FY23. And then just to kind of wrap it up here, kind of some concerns for the future. Given the current projections, we'll be forced to supplement the operational budget with approximately $1.1 million of B2 funds to balance the operations side out. And as I pointed out earlier, that's mainly to, a significant decrease in the food services revenue, larger than anticipated in inflation costs, diesel costs and supplies and everything. I mean, some of that stuff is going up 20% or greater. So we're expected to take a big hit in that area. And then also increased in purchase services over the last few years. And then our salary benefits packages increased by about $4 million over the last couple of years. Any questions?
Any comments or questions?
If there's no questions, then we're looking for a motion to approve the preliminary FY23 budget.
Do we have a motion?
I would make that motion.
Ron makes a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Arn, second, all in favor, show of hands. Motion carries. MSBA Board Delegate, Dr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Each year, we ask for a board delegate to attend the MSBA nomination, or to cast our vote for MSBA. I know that you have one member, I believe, going to be attending anyway. I know it's not my place to make any recommendations, but I know that Mrs. Rao will be there. So I wanted to go ahead and throw out that every school district is entitled to send at least one voting delegate to the delegate assembly that's held in conjunction with the annual conference. This delegate will consider proposed changes to the MSBA advocacy position. So if we would take a nomination, then you all can vote.
I nominate Ms. Rao. Do I have a motion? Jerry makes a motion, I have a second. Arn, second. Third?
Third.
Third.
All in favor, show of hands.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Vote away. And before we conclude, I just want to thank Dr. Brian Henry for his years of service, his leadership. We appreciate everything you've done for us. And we, on behalf of me and the Board of Education, we wish you a very happy, lengthy, long retirement.
Hope so.
And we're, hope you get through these 2 weddings in the next few weeks.
Yeah, that
months.
might be that might be the kiss of death right there.
Remember, 100,000 each to do it right.
Oh, shit.
All right, with that being said, Section 6, scholastic probation, expulsion, or graduation of indefatigable individuals. Section 3, individual personnel records, performance ratings. Do I have a motion to enter in closed session?
Motion.
You guys aren't so
Second.
jumpy for that, are you? Second, Ms. Rao, roll call vote, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're in closed.